Thanks for listening to the Healthy Church Podcast with Larry Barker and Drew Klein.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the Healthy Church Podcast. My name is Drew Klein. I'm here with Larry Barker. Larry, how are you, man?
Man, I'm representing my friends here.
Yeah, you are.
I was given a brand new hat, and our good friend John David Smith's going to love it because it's Mississippi State colors. I'm willing to overlook that because I like these guys.
Yeah, right. And I'm hoping at some point I know you're going to introduce our guest today, but man, I hope at some point you're going to get out there on the slopes and hit some of that powder in Utah.
Well, here's the thing, Drew. I don't like to show off. And so being the quiet, humble person I am, I don't want them to go, oh, man, I had no idea he was that good.
Yeah, right. I get that.
Or it could be I don't want to break a leg. It's one or the other.
Amazing powder in Utah. Am I right, guys?
Yes, there is.
There is.
Hey,
Well,
we've got with us today, this is Chase and Gavin Roberts, twins that have come out here to Morgan, Utah to plant a church. And I'm out here just meeting with them and hanging with them today. And I love their hearts. And what I thought we'd do today, Drew, is just talk about what they've done to build relationships and show this community that they want Morgan to be a better place, and
Love it.
And how they've done that. And it's quite an amazing story. The way that they built relationships and man, these people out here love these guys. I know that's shocking to a lot of people, but they just love these two dudes. And I'm curious, Gavin, who won the state championship this last year in football?
The Morgan Trojans, the maroon Morgan Trojans.
Nice.
Wow. And you've been a defensive back coach for them how long?
This is going on my second year. So coach
Second year. And
Bees.
Chase was coaching elsewhere, but they came after you, and now you're doing what for Morgan High School football?
Offensive coordinator and quarterbacks.
Yeah.
How
Great.
cool.
Quarterbacks, we might know a quarterback we could get out here to help you a little bit.
No.
I'm working with him on his throwing arm.
Yeah.
Luke, if he'll listen to me, a good friend of ours and member of our church, Luke McCowan, spent, I think, 13 years in the NFL, and we're going to make that connection. Hey, guys, introduce yourselves and tell us what you'd like our listeners to know about you guys.
Yeah, I'm Gavin Roberts, BMA church planter to Morgan, Utah. I work with my twin brother, Chase. We pastor Morgan Grace Church. We're planting Morgan Grace Church together here in Morgan. I've got a wife. We've been married for 7 years, 3 kiddos, one brand new one, a 5-year-old girl, a 3-year-old boy, and then a 1-month-old boy. And we do love the Utah powder. We love football. We love hunting, fishing, all the Utah things. And we love Morgan. So we love being here and serving here with my brother, my best friend, and just all my life. Our wives are best friends, and so thankful to be here in Morgan.
Now, wait a minute, Gavin. He brought up the powder, and you mentioned you like skiing. I'm just curious, what'd you do this morning?
I went and with my daughter. She starts kindergarten at 12:15, so me and her got up this morning and we went and skied a few laps. So we live right by several world-class resorts. So we went to Snow Basin this morning. I think we made 3 runs, and we probably skied about 9,000 vertical feet. So if you're a skier, that's a lot of vert in a hurry. With a guy from our church, and a guy that's been coming to our church some recently asked me to go with him. So me and Finley went and skied with him and his 2 daughters. So we do a lot of that. Chase and I both do a lot of that out here.
I'm so jealous, man.
Tell us about you, buddy.
Pretty much same intro. I don't know if he said we're from Arkansas. I grew up in Arkansas and then bounced around between Arkansas and Missouri, pastoring churches, coaching football. Ended up in Utah. Been out here for, starting my 4th year now. And, just really enjoy being here. Been very blessed with our church, with our family. Had 1 child while out here. Have another one coming, so it'll be our 4th. So I've got 5, 4, 2, and then 1 coming in April. So big days ahead for the Roberts family, and no more cars. Got to go with SUVs or not even trucks. Can't do a truck anymore. So vans and SUVs only to get everybody around town here.
Well, I was going to ask you guys the growth plan for the church, but I think you just explained it. That's pretty impressive.
We were talking about that at lunch.
The problem is their consumers are not givers at first, so it doesn't really help anything.
Right.
Hey, we got to give a shout out here. These two guys grew up at Bethlehem Baptist Church, a BMA church in Greenbrier, Arkansas. My good friend, Dr. Martin Jameson, is the pastor there, and they are your sending church, I know, Gavin, and of course Chase also. I'm sure there's that strong relationship. So talk to us a little bit about what you're learning about the difference between Chase. You pastored up in Missouri, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, where was that at?
Pattonsburg, Missouri, just a spot in the road on I-35, halfway between Des Moines and Kansas City.
Okay. And you were telling me at lunch a little bit about kind of the way you built relationships there, and it was a little different twist there, not so much the way you did it, but the way it was perceived, and then coming out here and building relationships. Talk to us a little bit about what you learned from Missouri and how you've applied it here.
Yeah, I think very similar, really. Obviously, people think massive cultural differences and very much literally geographical differences in elevation, snow, mountains, all those things. I think that we have been I would say encouraged. It's not complicated, and so going to Missouri, a small town, 350 people, school graduates 10 to 15, 20 kids a year is a big class. What got me in there more than anything was football. It was a small football team that didn't have a lot of help, and they said, hey, actually one of the deacons when I was first interviewed said, do you miss coaching football? I said, yes, I love football. I really enjoy it, but basically said, I left that for ministry. He said, well, I think we could find a spot for you here. Ended up being the head coach there at that little school, and then Gavin and I actually on coach together, and that really was the trigger that blew off the top as far as relationships in town, because people saw that, hey, this guy's not just here to draw a check and drive to Kansas City to go to class 3 days a week. He's here for this town, and so we loved Pattonsburg and loved our time there, and I think that just opened up our eyes to how you do just love people where they're at, not where you wish they were. I think it's easy for pastors to just think people should just think you're awesome because you preach the word and you got an education or whatever it is that makes you think that you're qualified to talk to people about God, and people really don't care. And this is cliche, but it's true. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Wow. And so football was that for us in Pattonsburg, and still have great friends there, and really, frankly, miss it a lot of days. It was a simple place, but an awesome experience. So coming here, that was a ticket. Now we didn't know how that would work here, and I have been coaching another place for the last 3 years, but I think just for Gavin to speak to that of when he got on staff with the football team here, our relationships in this community immediately changed. And so we're so thankful for our head coach here, Coach Barlow, giving us a shot as a couple of outsiders with no connection. But I think just he's just two young men that love his young men, love the football boys, and know a little bit about football that can help him. Number one, he wants to win games, but then number two, help mold young men. And so that's been a huge part of us coming to Morgan, and already literally had two neighbors come over that I really never talked to, and just say how, hey, our kids think it's so cool that one of the assistant coaches lives on Young Street now. And so that's just a way that people know, they knew who you were, but now they really know who you are, because you're part of really what's the biggest spectacle in our community is our high school football program.
And Chase, you guys had this heart to plant a church out this way, but it wasn't church planting that got you out here. It was actually coaching, wasn't it? Yeah. It was a coaching job that got you out here a couple years sooner than Gavin, right? Yes.
Yeah. So I was a high school offensive coordinator and middle school math teacher, 8th grade math teacher. I shudder at middle school. 8th grade was as low as I wanted to go, but 8th grade math teacher at Wasatch County School District, and much bigger school. We had almost 600 kids in class, so a very big school, and for here, big time football, and then to be able to now, in some folks' mind, take a step back. But for me, this is my dream job. You get to call plays at our hometown where our church is at, and hopefully for them, they feel like they got some big time coach, and I'm just saying, man, I can't believe they picked me type of thing, just to be able to come home and be here where our church is at and our people are.
That's awesome, guys.
Yeah, and before you came out, Chase, Gavin, you were at Antioch Baptist Church on staff there. Large church, I really don't know. Probably at that time running 1,500?
Yeah, 15 to 2. Yeah, 15.
Yeah, 1,500 to 2,000. And what did you do there? And talk to us about how you took what you learned in ministry there and other places and brought it to Morgan.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Chase said, people are people, and I've just always, I didn't pursue coaching as a career so much as Chase did, but I've just never gotten away from ball. I harbor some resentment of the way ball was probably the God in our family at times, but then I think I have a lot more just reasonable outlook on it now and a better perspective on it, and so it's just kind of always come back to it, to ball and to sports. And so when I was at UCA, the Perspective Building, Antioch, it was on the UCA campus, and it just happened to be literally in like left field extended, the third baseline extended from the UCA baseball field was the Perspective Building. And so I was coaching and pastoring in Missouri with Chase. I left that and just was brokenhearted. And right or wrong, a lot of what I knew I was going to miss about Missouri was coaching. And so just happened when I became the college pastor at Antioch, I was like, holy cow, I'm right beside the UCA baseball field. And so I was the chaplain for the UCA baseball team for a couple of years there, and was just still to this day, I would say, good friends, dear friends with the coaches there, the former head coach, Alan Gum, and then now the current head coach, Nick Harlan, who are just both Christian dudes. And so they were all about me being around. I was able to open up the building to those guys. And they sure didn't, they Division I baseball players, I'm just some bald 25-year-old redneck, but they love to duck hunt. They like to play ping pong. They like to eat, and so it was never a deal where I was in there, shoving them out on their throat. It was way more just I was just there. I watched all their games. I kept up with them, checked on them. They'd come cry in my office when something happened in life or needed to talk to someone, and I just hung out with them and realized that people are people. And as Chase often says, and we try to model this, is we don't love someone so that they will come or so they'll do something. We love them because it's what we're called to do. That's the right thing to do because we genuinely do. We love people no matter what. And so I think that helped me so much because a lot of those guys didn't come to my Monday night meeting, but they knew that I cared about them. And a lot of times they'd come to my office when they needed something. And still to this day, I talk to those guys. And so I think that's the consistent. No matter where you are, as a people are people, and everyone wants to know someone cares about them. And I think when you're a genuine person, you genuinely care about people, just because you care about them, not so that they'll do something for you. Then people they can read that and see that. And so I would say that the consistent is just that we care about people. Period. Nothing with no strings attached. We love people. Period. And so I would say it's the same thing, that just ball, but not so much ball. Ball is good. I love ball. It was fun when I said championship. I hope we do it again. But more than that, just that those kids, I hope that those kids, I think if you ask the guys that I coached last year, they'd say, man, Roberts loved me and he cared about me. And so I think that's the consistent between Conway or Utah or wherever.
Well,
you guys are talking about context.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you guys are talking about context in Conway. Give us a sense of what ministry context is in Utah and where you are there.
Yeah, we're the only non-LDS church in our town, so we're the oddball out. And that's really all I have to say. I mean, it's just a different deal here.
How big is the town?
So I don't know I don't know what you Google it, but they say the town is 5,000 and the county's pushing 15,000. So,
okay.
Nothing major. I don't know where you guys are at. So our school, we graduate 250 to 300 kids, sometimes more a class. Okay. So for the Central Arkansas people that listen to this, a Greenbrier-esque type town. So not a map dot, but we're not a metropolis by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay. Cool.
Well, what I was going to say was, Gavin, I just want you to know, I've been teaching church planting for a lot of years, and I've never taught a lesson on, let me give you 3 things to do: ski, hunt, and coach football. I've never taught that, but I love it.
Pretty cool.
But it is cool because we do teach, man, Meet people. How can you meet people? What does that look like? How do you love people? How do you build relationships? Where's that key to the community? Not to just get into the community, but to show the community who you are and that you really do care. And I want you both to hear me. Kudos to you guys and your families for figuring it out. Stetzer has a great, great book that he wrote with another guy called Breaking the Missional Code. And I just think that's one of the best books he ever put out from the standpoint of, and I liked what you said, Chase, earlier, it's not, or maybe it was Gavin, one of you, it's not complicated, and that, okay, different context, different place, different location, and yes, Chase, I heard you, different elevation, but it's still loving people and doing the same things you did. Drew, what you got, man?
Well, I love Utah. I've actually got to spend a little bit of time there, and it's a gorgeous, gorgeous place. But when I was there at different times talking to different Christians, one of the things they mentioned was that there's actually some element of persecution for Christians in some of these towns from some of the LDS aspect. Have you guys experienced any of that type of situation?
Chase has been here longer than me, but I would smile and tell you no. Maybe I don't know it. I'm not saying people don't say that. I mean, my best friends, if the head football coach watches this, he's my best friend here. Two of my best friends are LDS guys. One of them's a bishop, and our head coach is a leader in his stake, which is kind of like almost an association for them. And those guys I think would do anything for me, and I believe that. And they have done a lot of things for me. And so I don't know that I'm sure maybe it could happen. But I feel like we've been welcomed very well here. And my neighbors, I got one neighbor that's, I just try to stay out of his way. But for the most part, man, my neighbors, we had a baby and we can't tell them not to quit bringing us food and things. And so I think that probably did happen more in the past. But I would say we've been received, 90% of the time very well. And God has blessed us with a lot of favor. And I hope some of that is just don't be an idiot, having some tact. Some guys come in here kind of with that, like a persecution complex and think, it's going to happen. So they almost lean into that. Whereas I'm like, or we can just, be kind, be loving, be gracious, and, just be real and let's see what happens. And I feel like we do that well, where we're not picking a fight all the time, but there we are attempting to just let's be just, be fair, be kind, be gracious. And I think that I have not personally seen that, we get some jokes thrown at us every now and then, and things like that, but no, never once have I, and sometimes you can maybe kind of feel like, hey, I'm the only one not doing this, or I don't understand this. So maybe you kind of feel like you're outside the circle, but I don't know that was intentional more than just hey, that's kind of, guess what? You're the Baptist preacher in a not Baptist town. Like that's just kind of part of the gig.
Yeah.
Chase, you can maybe speak to that.
Chase.
The feeling of like, I don't fit in, but I wouldn't call that necessarily persecution.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if you ask, like, what do I struggle with being here, I would say walking the balance of not being ashamed of the gospel, but then also, hey, I pray that we live a quiet and peaceable life, that we will be thought well by outsiders, and we can still do a great job pastoring our church and our people that say, yeah, we want to follow Jesus and we want to be about the Bible. Preach my guts out to those guys, the people that we know disagree or maybe don't want to know they disagree. How do you walk that line and be loving and again be pro Morgan, pro your neighbors, loving people without being ashamed of the gospel, but then also again still being able to be faithful. And so I think that's a fine line to walk that we struggle with daily. But I'm banking on God more than anything doing what he's going to do and just trying to be faithful to take care of, well, we talk about a lot ourselves, and that sounds self-helpish, but it's true. Take care of ourselves, that we can be here for a long time, take care of my wife and my kids, take care of our church and the ones that want to be here, and truly knowing that it's relationships, not only with our own circles, but our people in our church. I mean, our church has really grown, and When you go in a place where there's really never been anything like what you guys are doing there, or what we're doing here, what God is doing here, and you go from having a small group to 80 folks on Sunday night, people know. And so just praying God that he would raise those up that are here, and the relationships that they have. They've lived here for longer than we have. Some of them for pioneer families that have been here for 200 years. They know people. And so they're going to be on conversations that we could never have because of this context. And so just hopeful and prayerful that God will use those things, and that, we just need to stay out of the way in a lot of ways. And I don't think that's being ashamed of anything. That's just being wise in the place we are.
Yeah. Awesome.
What do you, anything you guys generically, because there are aspects of church planning and ministry that are going to be very similar no matter where you are. And then there are distinct challenges to particular areas. I planted in 92, and I got to tell you, the thing that really got us into the community, I would have never thought it would have been the thing. But I got approached by a guy on the Chamber of Commerce, and he said, "Hey, preacher, why don't you guys put a float in the July 4th parade?" And I'm like, "Really? Yeah, we can do that." And I can tell you that we had a VBS 3 weeks later, and we had 4 times as many kids as we expected, because we had participated in the big event. And when you're in a cold area too, when you're in the Chicago area, you got to be active in an event in warm weather if you want people to be outside and show up. And man, it was huge. I had no idea. Now I got to tell you a funny one. Next year there were 4 church floats because the other churches saw we did it. So now everybody's going, "Oh, we got to do it too." But there's some generic challenges, or just some things overall that you tell church planners, "Hey, be aware of this," or "Be aware of this," or a year or 2 in, here's some things we've begun to realize.
Yeah, I think just the reality of our people who are phenomenal, like most churches 99% of the time, they just don't know. And I think I know, like, we're somewhat fresh out of MDiv seminary time, and it's like, oh, if you plant a church, you don't deal with all the problems of an established church. So, in seminary, you all go preach or pastor at the established church of 50 that does all the stuff that you think this is like hypocrisy, and God's going to strike the place with lightning because they go up front for a birthday or an anniversary, or whatever it is that just grinds your gears. Your church does, and the fifth Sunday singing or whatever it is that you think, oh my gosh, why are we doing this? That now I can kind of smile and say, you know what? I think, look, I'm going to get up there and sing with them or whatever, or I'll go for my birthday.
Yeah.
That here I would say, like, there's a simplicity in that if you just kind of keep the wheel churning, keep things going when there's kind of an established church. And even you might disagree, you still just kind of roll with it because it's not worth the fight, and it's probably not that big a deal in reality. Whereas here, a lot of times our people, they just don't know.
Right.
And some of them have a very, very eclectic church background where they've been, literally multiple religions. And I don't mean just different denominations, what we might see in the South, but multiple, religious backgrounds are very, very, the gamut of what might be called Christianity by, the CNN or something. And they just don't know. And so I think we just forget. I'm not gracious enough sometimes because I think they should know what they don't know. And then I'm not good enough, or we maybe I should say are not good enough at just explaining things so that they do understand. And I think that just has been a reality for me more lately. They just don't know. And that's not their fault. And they're not smart. They're not stupid. They just don't know. They're ignorant. Just like I'm ignorant to a lot of things. If a football analogy, I don't know anything about coaching quarterbacks. That's why I coach D-backs, and where he's a quarterback expert. And so it wouldn't be right for him to be angry with me for not knowing because I've never been taught. I don't know. And so I think that's probably the thing that I've just been realizing lately is you can't be upset with someone for not knowing something that you think they should know when no one's ever told them.
That's a good word. Chase,
Yeah.
Anything you think of?
I just think that you need to be able to celebrate wins. And I think that's one thing with Brother Larry being out here and Gavin talking through just different things in our own personal lives. And it's really easy to get your head down and get in this lane, in this dark alley of just, I got to do this and this and this. And we do work multiple jobs, and some of them I really like, some of them I don't. Financial struggle is real, and don't send money. We're okay. Well, you can send money, but my family's not out on the street. But there is that stress, and I love to get some of my Roth IRA, and I've got 2 more months to take care of 2022, 2023, and all these things can just get so overwhelming. It's like, what are we doing here? And then you step back and you start talking, and you go, man, this has been an unbelievable ride. That literally we could, in some ways, write a book about church planting in Utah for what we've been able to experience because of how God has just blessed us. And I don't know that we've celebrated that at all, really. It's just more of oh my goodness, we got this next thing, or we're not where we need to be with church membership, or we're not where we need to be. And so you're just trying to stay afloat, and you don't look back and go, man, we were out there at that boat, and now we're almost to the shore, whatever that means. And I know you never arrive, but it's we still can't touch the bottom, but that's not the goal. I mean, get on your back and look back and float a little bit. So that's what I would just say today, is that I think we have not done justice to celebrating what God has done, where God has brought us from, the people that He's brought to our church, the people that He's saved, the people that He's changed, and instead of being able to celebrate that, and truly, I mean, let's go. We should praise Him by falling on our knees in prayer, singing out to Him, and I'm thinking right now, we need to go have dinner and say, man, God, thank you. This is better than a birthday. And we don't do that. And truly we don't. We haven't done that. I think it just, we move locations and do all these things and hard stuff. And you go, why didn't we think that was a big deal? We were, and you look back and go, that's crazy. But then you get a guy like Brother Larry Barker come out here and you go, man, this is going pretty good. And not every planter has that story, right? Not everybody has those things, but if you, whatever you can, celebrate what you can and give credit to God where credit is due, because all I'm sitting going is asking more and why, instead of saying, wow, God, that you have provided above and beyond anything we could ask, and you're blessing your church, and you're keeping your promise to grow your church to all the nations, and Utah being a place right now where you've chosen to use us and bless us. And so we need to thank Him for that and recognize Him for what He's done, more than not just wishing we were X, Y, and Z, or to get to next step 1, 2, 3, and 4, to get to 5, and then wish we were at 6.
That's awesome.
And that was great. Hey, Drew, you want me to sing "Celebrate" by Kool and the Gang?
I would love to see that. Actually.
Would you love to see that? Yeah. Well, since it's on video, maybe not. Maybe not this time. But, man, I'm so glad I asked Chase, because I agree. We do not celebrate well, and we don't celebrate enough.
Yeah. Along those lines, I mean, this is probably the last question for you guys. Give you a couple options. Is there a story that you would tell us that would be about that celebration, something God did, or a prayer request that you would have for us and the audience to how we can pray for you and lift you up right now? Either one.
Yeah, I'll give it just a generic, be careful to share specific stories maybe, but just I think Chase is right. I'm just sitting here feeling guilty for just, you get down in the dumps and feel sorry for yourself, and a couple things go wrong, and then you look back and there was 80 people here the last 2 Sundays, plus some. And so you just forget so quickly how good God is. And not that if we have 40, praise God. And even then, we need to be more thankful for those days. I think the praise is just the fact that we're here. We have a location on Main Street. We're on Commercial Street in Morgan, Utah. And that in and of itself, people told us that probably wouldn't happen. And it did, and it has. And so I just think that just the fact that we're here, that we've survived thus far, Chase has been out here working on his 4th year. He's about to be working on his 4th. I'm about to be working on my 3rd. And just that we're still here, and God's still using us, blessing us. And we totally understand that we may go backwards numerically, but just the fact that God has brought us to here. And we have a new building that's a great location that's not easy to find here, that we can afford and people are coming, and new people are coming, and all these things, and relationships are growing. I know it's a generic, but if you came to Utah and talked to other planners, they would say, yeah, that's pretty nuts.
That's awesome
for them. Just a real quick story. I just say there are people that are coming and asking questions that that there's folks in their families that don't want to ask those questions. And I'll leave it at that, but that's at least they're doing individuals over the last 2 years. And those people aren't coming every week, but they came, or they're talking, and those things just don't happen every day. And it's a hard place for people that are seeking. And so we're just so thankful to be able to be a place where they can Google church in Morgan, Utah, and we're the only ones that pop up. And that's an honor and a privilege. And I hope that I won't lose the wonder of that, again, celebrating that, but just to know when you Google church in Morgan, Utah, we come up, and that wouldn't have been the case had it not been for the shoulders of some giants we're standing on to get us here, not only around the BMA, but men and families that came even 15 years ago to try to begin this work that God just allowed us to kind of pick up and run with. We're not here on our own, and so we're so thankful. I think that, again, those questions are being asked, and there's someone to give answers to here. YouTube is great, but it doesn't beat being able to walk into a door somewhere and see believers gathering around,
Right.
and prayed, sung, and preached the Word of God, and then to get to share a meal each week together. And that's the last thing I'll say, what we do unique that I think other churches could do. I know most folks are at churches bigger than us, but we have a meal every week together as a church family. We meet on Sunday nights at 5, and we eat as soon as service is over. And our folks are together from 5 to 7 every week. And I know that there's a lot of ways you can do church, but for us, we have a service and then we have a meal. And it's just a culture we built where it's not weird. Everybody just knows we have dinner. And I think it's something that a lot of people can emulate. And you got to eat. And so why not eat together? And we even watch football together. People may think that's bad. There's commercials and things that aren't appropriate and those things. I get that, and I'll listen to that. But I think it's pretty cool that after service we can have 4 of our guys sit down and watch the AFC Championship game together and crack jokes back and forth while the kids are running around. And you got a family meal of 80 people sitting here watching Patrick Mahomes or not. They don't, most of them don't care, but the few that do can watch that. You don't have to go home. You're already home. Just stay here. And that's a beautiful place to be.
I love it. I love that somebody once said that Luke is just a collection of 9 stories around meals, Jesus and meals.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you. We are praying for you and praying for the church and for the area, for your work in the school. It's just a beautiful opportunity to see the gospel planted and saturated in that area. Praise God. Hey, for you that are watching and listening today, thanks so much for joining us on the Healthy Church Podcast. If we can help you, please let us know what we can do, how we can pray, or what we can learn from you maybe. That's info@healthychurchpodcast.com, and we look forward to talking to you and with you next time on the Healthy Church Podcast.
For more information and other resources, go to healthychurchpodcast.com.